Hi everyone, Sherry Miller here today on day 6, and today I want to talk about how behavior is movement and how that pertains to creating beauty and all the wonderful things that we want to do with life. So, behavior is movement. If we start like in a very simple way, just thinking of kind of internal things, what's going on. If someone is breathing heavily, we might say it seems like they were just running up the stairs, right? We associate with that with some behavior, but what we're looking at is the movement of the breath that's heavy. If someone is breathing very quietly, very calmly, and sitting still, we think they're maybe sleeping. It depends on if their eyes are closed. It depends on, movement. Sleeping or thinking or meditating, depending on what other movements you combine that with. But that behavior is movement. And I'm going to show you something. This is from a training that I do, but these are my stick people. I love my stick people. So can you tell, it's a little bit hard for me to hold this up properly, but can you tell something about each of these stick people? And of course you can, right? Of course there's one shrugging. I don't know what to do. There's one in the middle jumping for joy. There's the two up here. Someone is like, whoa, right? Hanging the head in kind of like I can't do it anymore type of behavior. This frustration, right? I can't take it. I can't take anything. I can't take any more inputs. So all of these are behaviors. Notice we don't need facial expressions and we don't need to know what they're thinking, right? We can just literally see stick figures. We can just see the configuration of limbs and know a ton about that person, so to speak. We actually even get attached to stick figures. When I tell stories around these stick figures, people start becoming attached to them. And it's because they understand them. They understand the stick figure, so they feel a connection to it. They feel an attachment to it. So behavior isn't psychology, it's movement. Of course, psychology affects the movement, but when we want to create beauty, which is also movement, right, we need to understand the movement. And the behavior is the energy in the movement. It's frustration is showing energy that's very stuck. It like goes a little and then it's stuck and it goes back and it's stuck in a lot of places, right? So it's showing that energy. And jumping for joy is energy that's, free to escape out and jump for joy. And there's a really cool thing scientists or psychologists, behaviors, I don't know, so, somebody studying something, they've actually, using a computer, they've gotten people dancing, and the only thing that's visible is dots on their wrists and their elbows and their knees and their ankles and all the joints, right? And they can show a video to people of these guys dancing where all you can see is the dots. So it's just a video of dots moving on a screen. And every single person that watches it will always identify it as people dancing, right? And all they're seeing is dots moving. But the configuration of movement is behavior. We know they're dancing. That's the behavior that they're exhibiting. So behavior is movement, and movement is the flow of energy or the lack of flow of energy. We sometimes say someone or something is behaving like it's dead. it's not moving at all, right? We call that behaving like it's dead. And this movement of energy that we're seeing as behavior, behavior is all the complexities that occur in the combination or the combination of the two sides of the pendulum, the two sides of what movement is. One is complete stillness, and when something is in complete stillness, when someone, human or animal, is in complete stillness, we would call them shut down. So that can be the inputs coming into them cause them to go to one side of the spectrum, which is being shut down. The other thing is the inputs coming in, if you go all the way on the spectrum, to the other side of the spectrum, if that's where it sends you, would be complete movement with no balance. It's always this hunger balance ratio that you're playing with. And complete movement, complete hunger with no balance comes out as reactivity. It can be aggression, it can be yelling, it's harsh movements, it can be fighting, it can be just anything turbulent and sticky and harsh, so like jerky and comes out that way. It's not fluid. In order to have fluid movement, you need some of the balance in there. So what happens is when you have the inputs of the world around you, and the two sides of the spectrum, which our responses are something in between those, but the two sides are complete focus on balance. Balance is in the head. Balance comes from the inner ear, and it's processed in the brain, and that's a head thing. So you're only worried about balance and not to the exclusion of movement, so you're just still or shut down, right? You're unable to function. The other side of the spectrum, if you go all the way, is complete movement, no concern of balance, no concern of center, no connection to self. It's just movement, and that's reactivity. What you have right in the middle is completely free movement, free because it's tied to a strong center. It is when you achieve that magical stillness within movement. It's when your center is rock solid, but your limbs can move freely. I have allergies, excuse me, it's ragweed season. Your limbs can move freely, but they're connected to that rock solid center. And that is beauty. That's the beauty that we seek. Whatever, that's general beauty in life, and then we frame it up. Each of us individually frames it up into our unique expression of it. It could be the horse dance or music or speaking or teaching, helping others to grow. It could be anything. But that's the beauty that you're speaking in whatever frame that you're seeking, in whatever frame that you have put it in. And I forgot about the trees. I often have a lot of symbolism in my videos. I was just commenting on that in the previous video to someone who had noticed something. A lot of times, the reason that we enjoy watching people's videos in nature and being out in nature is because of the soft, fluid movement. Just soft, lilting, light, fluid, unfettered movement. There's waves sometimes, or leaves fluttering in the wind, butterflies floating by. the horses' manes, or even hair moving, just kind of floating in the wind. All these things bring up in us that feeling of unfettered movement. And it's very relaxing and very compelling and really draws you in. We really enjoy that. So a lot of people, the way we think has an impact, obviously, on our ability to move. But your behavior in life ultimately comes down to, can you move or not? And that's more than just how you think. It's all the energy coming at you, your capacity. It's your bucket or your conduit for energy. How big is it? How much can it flow? How much can it handle? And how do you view the things coming at you? So it's the combination of the energy, your capacity to flow the energy, store the energy, deal with the energy, plus what you think about it. And a lot of people try and work on behavior by, we know we need to get out of our mind to behave more fluidly and more in concert with the energy of life. But when you try and get out of your mind by focusing on your mind, that's really hard. Whereas if you get out of your mind by just being in your body, then what happens is your mind comes into your heart. And your heart aligns and synchronizes movement. That's how you get that stillness of movement from the balance center up here, that stillness within movement, and enables you to overcome obstacles in life and create beauty. It puts you in that place where you have the capacity to create beauty, but it also puts you in that place that is beauty and brings others to their beauty. Do you see what noble work it is, creating beauty? When you decide that whatever it is that you're doing, it is to be done with beauty, when beauty is your guide, when beauty is your goal, this is what's happening. You're just creating the capacity to move freely. It's that release of stress. It's the experience of the sudden release of energy that was previously stuck, energy that can now move. It's not frustrated. It's not in that frustrated stance. It's not stuck. It's free to move. So this theme of behavior as movement is going to come up over and over again in all the things that I talk about. And the movement that you see is information. It's information about where you can process energy and where you can't. Behavior is just information. It's just movement, which is just information. And the things, if you look, I'll bring in the dogs, because it's really easy to envision this with dogs, because we don't tie it up with so many stories. But if you're walking a dog, whatever, and they're not shut down, they're in movement, whatever they move towards shows you where they're placing the value. So movement, behavior, which is movement, movement is information. Energy is information. Movement is movement of energy, and energy is information. So it shows you where you're placing the value. If they chase a squirrel, they place more value in that squirrel than in being with you. If they choose to stay with you when there's all kinds of stimuli in the environment, then they're placing more value in being with you than in interacting with the environment. And the same thing is true for us. Your behavior, what you move towards and what you move away from, shows where you're currently placing the value. And that's a big clue on how we work on finally bringing out that beauty that we are meant to create. It's a big clue to what stops you and what you need to do to go there. I'm not going to cover that now, but because I just wanted to get the concept that behavior is movement, because we're going to work more on movement in the future. Okay, that's enough said about that, and catch you guys later.